Hello. I'm Alex, and I'm going to walk you through the project file for Untitled.1yica Film. I produced and mixed and mastered this song from start to finish, so I'll just walk you through, I guess, track by track. I'll start at track 1. This is a sample of just a beach recording. I get basically all of my recordings from Free Sound. I love that site. Very useful. Sometimes I'll just type in random like themed keywords and just scroll and scroll. This one though, I wanted a specific kind of windy sound. I wanted something to play over Alicia speaking to sound like it was recorded maybe at a film set. So here's how that sounds.
Lights, camera, action.
And here's the audio. I actually am putting that through what's called the cabinet filter. That's a filter Ableton has that makes things sound like it's coming out of a speaker. So here's it without. And here's it with. And then of course I have these beeps.
Lights, camera, action.
Just something to make it sound like the film was about to start, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Then I got some snares. So what's fun about these is a few things. One, there's an auto pan, so they kind of go around your head. There's a delay that I turn on at the very end. So that way it kind of, there's even more panning. It's more dynamic that way. Erosion, that's just to give it a little bit of a sizzle. Here's it without the erosion. And this kind of gives it a thicker, kind of sizzly quality. Not super noticeable, but it's good for shaping the sound. Drum bus, of course, that's again more shaping. I use drum bus on pretty much all of my drums, or generally every rhythmic sound. So what this does is make it, here I did a more punchy kind of feel. So here's without. Part of it is that it just makes it louder, and that tricks you into thinking it sounds better, but I still do it. And then last but not least, for this one, because there's so many interlocking drum parts, I want to do a lot of side chaining. So this is side chain to the verse kick. You can see it dips a little in audio. It's not super noticeable, but I just wanted to have that so that these sounds can go more in kind of a harmony, all the drum sounds. Next up we have the kick. Now this says it's from Marshmallow. I don't know if that's true. I just got this from a sample pack, so hopefully, this is all legal. This is a nice kick roll that I made myself. And I had to experiment a little bit with how to get the sounding right. You may be tempted to just do duplicate the beginning of the kick. But as you see, or as you'll hear, that sounds a little bit dull compared to this, So what I did is I made sure that I was actually going a little bit here to get a bit of a click. You want to go in the middle of one of these waveforms where you're not supposed to be to get a kind of click sound. And then I duplicated it from there. So that way you can, because of the click, you can hear better the separation between each duplicated sound. That's weird. Let's see what's making that happen. Interesting. Okay. Maybe if I do here. Another thing, you got to make sure these fades are off. Let's see if that fixes it. Ableton will automatically add fades to stop the clicking and clipping. There you go. Perfect. So I love the sound of a click though, so I often remove the fades. And then to make it fade in, I just consolidate, and then I use Ableton's kind of built-in fader. Like that. Obviously that sounds a little different, started somewhere different here. Another important thing, keep silence. So silence I always try to add into my productions just a little bit. You'll see that later as well. Just because it makes the part that comes after it pop more. So maybe you can hear it. Oh, I forgot the kick. There's a kick here. Often I just do a few milliseconds, something that's barely audible, but I find it that it's very helpful to making things pop more. Is it noticeable? Oh, you decide. Next I have my dueling basses. This is actually two basses going at once, that's why it's dual. This one is more centered. And this one is more wide. I call this one springy because let's look at the envelope. You can see here it starts loud and then really quickly gets quiet. So it's like a duh, it's more percussive. Whereas this one, let's look at the envelope here, it's more full. It stays at the same level of volume. You can hear that. And they're also kind of both undulating. And what does that is, I believe I automated the volume here. Did I? No. Where did I automate the volume? I have no clue. Something's automating the volume. Maybe it's up here. One of the things that I do is that I just kind of have to trust that it works. I know something is happening that makes the volume go up and down. I just have to find out where that is. Okay, there's an operator here, the volume. Okay, there you go. The volume is being automated for both of these. Let's listen here. So for the beginning of each, you dip the volume out and then go back up. I also have a pretty strong sidechain from the verse kick. And then some smaller ones for the snares. The moans I'll look at later. The kick in the chorus. I wanted it to feel like it was being wrapped around the kicks and the other drums. I like that kind of texture. So yeah, that was important to me. You also notice that there's a vocoder. I've been working more and more with vocoder. I think, here's the without the vocoder. Now, as you'll hear, it's a little punchier, especially the springy bass. But I really, more than the punchiness, I liked the kind of, I don't know how to describe it. That kind of spokey, like spokes on a bicycle, like really sharp sound. And so I enhanced that with the vocoder. Makes it a bit more slimy too, and it sacrifices some of the punch of the bass, but I don't mind that because it brings forward the parts I really enjoy. And as you'll see here, from these being muted and unmuted, switching between the two basses, and this I sort of just did at my own discretion. I didn't have like a plan or a pattern in mind when I went out. I just listened and I felt, okay, this sounds best. Let's look at where I muted and unmuted it. This sounds best here, but this sounds better here. So I'll, just sort of going bit by bit, sort of tortuously muting and unmuting, making sure they were never at the same time just to give them space, so that it would sound the best together. They're kind of in a beautiful dance, and I like that. Next we have our snaps.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu bouger là-bas?
Let's listen to those. Now we have 3 snaps. Layering is very important to me, at least with drums. I feel like it brings out some interesting textures. So we have the constant snap. And I love this sound. I love how kind of bulky it feels. A lot of snaps are very kind of wimpy. And I like that this one is so thick. Then we have this snap. That's the on-beat snap. So you'll see that the pattern here, you have this snap on the second beat, where a snare usually goes, but this one is on the and of the fourth beat. Usually you'd want it right on the fourth beat, but I put it on the and because I'm being all cheeky. So to accentuate the on beat, I have a special kind of higher, crispier snare, or snap. But I don't have one here, because since this is on the upbeat, I want to make it less accented. And instead I'll have this, still because I like texture, but this is a little smaller, a little more subtle. Yeah, just because I want to differentiate as well between the one that's on beat and the one that's off beat, and make there be more of an interplay and change in sound. So again, here's what it sounds like on its own. As you'll hear, there's a bit of a timbral change, and here's it in context.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu bouger là-bas? Can you move it for me?
Now, something with the snaps, and they're a little loud, and I love that. With this song, I was experimenting more with dynamic mixing, making things a little too loud, a little too quiet, and I like the way it came out. Before, I would always be afraid of things getting lost or things being too pronounced. I was thinking people are going to be listening to this on their speakers, they're going to be listening on terrible quality headphones, they're going to be listening too quiet, blah, blah, blah. That's something I've realized is people actually listen to music very loudly. So I don't have to worry about things being lost in details because everyone's going to be turning it up way loud. Um, and if things are too loud, that's fine. You can use, like, it's fine to have something be too loud, too quiet. It makes things more interesting. Um, Especially because when I was listening to a lot of other like popular music, I was I wouldn't say pissed off, but I was so done with how compressed everything sounds these days. Not to be like old man shakes fist at cloud, but I really want to get more into dynamic mixing and mastering because I feel like there's so much potential to have so much hidden and so much present and so much surprising that gets kind of eroded the more you compress. Speaking of hidden, listen to this. It's so quiet, you may have to turn your volume up for that. This is some people screaming and having fun on a roller coaster. Now, this was another meticulous thing I did where I found this on Freesound. It was not exactly in this format. It was just like running all the way through just a bunch of random sounds. And what I did was, first, what I like to do is I like to quantize. So if I have a sound like this that's not rhythmic, I'll quantize it. And this is already quantized, but I'll show you like what I would do if it weren't. Quantize. Now it's quantizing by every beat, as you can see here. Then I'll make the grid smaller. Oop, didn't mean to do that. I'll make the grid smaller, and then I'll quantize by every eighth, and then I'll make it smaller, and I'll quantize by every 16th. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I already did that, so I'm not going to do that now, but that's one thing I did to make it more rhythmic. And then I listened for different chunks of sound that I liked. I didn't like the entire sound of the people having fun on a roller coaster. I only liked, like this I thought was really good. Wah! Having fun. Um, so I kept that. I took out some parts that were maybe felt a little bit clunky, I guess, that didn't really go well in the background. And then I put them in order. So each chunk, I believe, was a measure long, and so I just would say, okay, this feels like it goes at the end of a 2-bar phrase, so I'll put it here. This sounds like it goes at the beginning, stuff like that. And that's how I came up with this sound. As you'll see, there's some side chaining, as usual, and then I have a tiny bit of a, actually, I'll turn it up so you can hear it. And I'll turn this up. This is a 16th note chop, and obviously I have it a lot subtler. But that, again, is to accentuate the rhythmic quality. I think on Ableton 12, maybe, you just have, you can use like an auto volume thing, but I'm scared to upgrade to Ableton 12, so I just use a modified auto pan. Now, normally, the pan has the phase automatically at 180, and that pans it left and right, but if you turn the phase all the way down, you could use it as a volume automation. Or you can just use an LFO and a utility plugin, but that's too much work. Next, you have these moans. Now, these, I love the sound of these. There's a few things going on. So first off, you have autotune. Since these are melodic, I wanted to make sure they were actually in key. So I don't think they sound super different from that autotune. Let's hear. Yeah, it's very similar. Here's without. It might actually be doing nothing. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty humanized, and the retune speed isn't too high. But I often like to put autotune just in case. I don't have a super great melodic ear. I often can't tell if things are perfectly in tune, so I just put autotune on just to be safe. Drum bus, again, because it's sort of rhythmic, but this is very light. The most important things are the autofilter, the amp, and the flanger, and the vocoder. I guess that's 4 things. I'll remove all these effects, and you can hear the difference. So you'll hear that that's kind of, it's a little like thicker, there's more bass to it. With the auto filter, you get kind of the highs, they kind of warble around a little bit. And I don't know if you can hear that super well, but that's one thing I did. With the amp, there you go. Then it gets a lot brighter. I use the amp often to distort the high end of something to add a little bit of a crisp or a hiss to it, a breath. The phaser, another important thing, that just adds a little bit of a tiny bit of a more kind of wispy sound, but it's very subtle. But the vocoder, I think, really brings it together. That makes it more watery. I often use the vocoder to make things sound watery. I don't know how it does that, honestly, but that's what it does, and I'm happy. Getting some more side chaining.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu bouger là-bas? Can you move it for me?
Now I wanted to accentuate the high end of this and not keep it so full in the audio spectrum because I wanted to just be a little bit of a texture. I wanted to not be super prominent. Next we got this pair of sounds. Do you hear it? There you go, yeah. Now this is, again, using a vocoder, but instead of having a modulator vocoder, this is using a modulator. And that just changes the texture of the sound. This is using an external carrier or whatever. So without it, it's just using the sound as like an impact or, you know, like a click. But with the external sound, suddenly every time this is triggered, it plays this. Actually, can you even hear that? I don't think you can. I think I turned the volume. Oh yeah, you hear this. So it's this sound, but to this rhythm, which I think is a pretty cool use for the vocoder. And I have some songs in the works that use that. Again, I have wanted to give it a more stereo quality, so I have autopan and I have a flanger, redux for texture, make it a tiny bit crispier. Some of these things are very subtle, and I don't think I need to do them, but you know, why not? That's my motto. And then you get a big change for the chorus. Oh, should unsolo that. And again, I'll show you something I did was silence is very important to me. You'll see here, it goes totally silent, and that makes the chorus. So, yeah, I like to put that in a lot of stuff now. I changed up the kick drum because I wanted this to have a more Miami bass feel. This is more EDM, and so the kick feels more like a stock EDM kind of rubbery kick. Originally, the kick was very knocky, a very hip-hop kick, but I wanted to differentiate more. So this is a kind of rubbery EDM kick, and this is a more hip-hop R&B kind of kick. It's a lot thicker. And again, you have the roll. Same thing as the previous roll, but this time it's panned. Some auto pan, or not auto pan, automated panning. I don't like hard panning. I think that's just a thing I have to get over. I don't think there's anything wrong with hard panning. I just have a personal preference against it. So it only goes up to 40. I don't think I've ever hard panned something. I think maybe one way I think about it is if you're hard panning, then it feels like one of your ears is lonely, but I don't know. That's maybe a weird way of thinking about it. I don't know if I should say this. I guess I'll say it. So this song is made up of a bunch of demos that were rejected, or not rejected. Yeah, I'll say rejected. So this original part didn't sound exactly like this first part, but it had the same rhythm. It had this kick rhythm. It had this bass pattern, but not exactly this bass rhythm, and definitely not this bass sound. The sound was something I came up with later and was very proud of. And it had the moans, and everything else I sort of tweaked and added later. But yeah, this is made up sort of Frankenstein a bunch of different demos together, and that's why it changes sound so much, because I didn't want to make them cohere. I thought it was very interesting to hear them contrasting each other, and letting them be kind of juxtaposing and not the same. that's, I often like to find things that are mistakes or sound weird or not conventional, and then rather than try to sand them out, um, make them seem more intentional so that they actually, they work. So this kick pattern was another thing that was rejected for a different song. I didn't take anything else. I just kept the kick pattern because I loved it and I brought it back. Got an 808 here, pretty standard. It's sidechained to the kick. Got some layered snares. Again, love layering. You hear the snares. There's a few of them together. So this is the first one. Oh, no, it's not. This is the first one. A little light, but it's got some punch to it. This is the second one. That's a little thicker, but it's kind of wooden. It's a bit of a zap. I didn't love either of these on their own, but together I think they're better. They're greater than the sum of their parts. It's thick, it's punchy. I like that. And then I wanted a kind of Miami bass vibe, so you got some hi-hats on the upbeats. Double hi-hats on the upbeats, the Miami bass sound. I will say I'm not super familiar with the genre. I know a little bit about it. I feel kind of ashamed that maybe I didn't do it the most justice, but it's like a reference. They can't arrest you for referencing. And then for some texture, I have this really quiet percussion. And this was an inspired choice. You see that it's following the same hats pattern, but then here it gets early, and I just love that for some reason. It's tiny and so subtle, but it's a way to upset the kind of established order. And you don't even hear it, but you kind of feel it, I think. And I have my chords. Now, I could have written this in MIDI, and I think I almost did, but in the end I decided to do something that I love to hear in electronic music, which is treat a chord like it's a note. Often in electronic music, people will sample chords and then just pitch them up and down. It's a very different way of working than MIDI, but I find it creates really weird and cool harmonies. So I basically just use this same sample of Rhodes and went by just feeling, like where do I want the chord to go next? What sounds interesting? There's an auto filter that makes it a little bit muddier, a little bit muffled, but not super. And a small erosion to add some static, some dust to it, so it sounds a little older. Then you have some percussion, vocal percussion.
Rock it, hit back. Rock it, hit back. Rock it, hit back.
I really like what Noah 40 does, or I don't know, every time I see his name, I see Noah 40 should be, and I don't know if you say the whole thing or just Noah 40 or just 40. He produced for Drake, maybe he still does, but he would always talk about hiding vocals, like chops and percussion in his songs, and so I like to do that too. It's like there's little people living in the song, just chilling out. I also have a little bit of a, that's in there as well. As you can see, I have some samples. I think they're I don't know. I think they're fine to sample because I found them in a audio pack that I downloaded for money. So, I mean, I think maybe the onus is not on me to make sure because I paid for it. I feel like that's enough to assume they're fine. Anyway.
Come on, girl.
Yes.
I'm going to sort of populating it with cool people and cool sounds.
Nope.
Also, I find this really funny. The
yes.
Yes, and then replacing it with
nope.
Nope. A little joke, a little bit of humor for me personally. Yeah, that's the first verse, first chorus. Now we enter into the second verse. I wanted to be kind of a surprise that we go back to this sound here.
Rocking like a hot mess,
So
but
we
you still
start the verse with the same drums that you had in the chorus, as if we were going to continue using them, but we're not. I removed some of the more melodic stuff, but then I wanted to add in these, where are they? These sounds. I just sort of scrolled through percussion to find the weirdest, wackiest sounds I could. I'm really inspired by just like wacky, strange sounds. There's a really good Autechre song called Bouncy Castle that just sounds like pressing a bunch of random, like, funny sound effects, and I that sort of rewired my brain. I love that. Yeah, so that's here.
Bikini, toutes tes sons sont finis.
And then you go back.
Walking like a hot mess, but you still wanna be me. I direct the scene, bitch, I'm feeling my Fellini.
Now, I always like to make the second time around different and more interesting because I hate copy pasting. It makes me feel lazy. And there's nothing wrong with copy pasting. I have a personal vendetta. So what I'm doing here to make the sounds sound different is I am changing what actually the wave is. So initially it's a saw wave, but then it becomes a square, and it becomes a small sine and stuff like that. And then the wide bass as well changes. That's a little less pronounced. Yeah, and this one again was just trial and error, seeing what sounds sound best and where. I love trial and error. I know some people maybe would get exhausted by all that, but I love just like playing in the weeds, having fun, wasting time, just trying things. Anyway,
I direct the scene, bitch, I'm feeling my Fellini. Actors don't have it so hard, I direct and I'm a star.
we have a little sparkle sound. That came in very late as well. I wanted more sound effects, like all throughout the song, but this was basically the only place I could find that they were.
I direct and I'm a star.
Sparkle and camera. Flash. Yeah, again, just trial and error. I put sound effects across the whole thing, and this was the only one that I felt was like good enough to keep. So, yeah. Moving on, we have
You came to see me.
what I'm calling cubic hats because they sound very square to me. I don't know how to explain it. They're so often for a hat you'll have like, yeah, this tail, but I have no tail. It's very spiky, very spicy. Very like a spine of a porcupine. And then you have some repitching of the hats here. I know often people like to use MIDI for hats to make the pitching better. I'm just so used to using the actual, like, I don't know what you'd call this, like production view timeline. I don't know, just dropping it in there. I can never change. So that's what I do. Anyway, this is fake out. Another way of disrupting kind of what you're used to and making the second time around a little different. I didn't want to copy and paste. As you'll see here, there's also more sounds. You have some restaurant sounds. How do I... There you go. You can hear both now. Very subtle. Just a little bit of a texture to make it feel wider and more. There's like a more sense of a place. I also like the roller coaster sounds. I quantized it a bit. I don't think that did anything to making it sound better or worse, but I just like knowing that it's quantized. Then I also have these chords. This is layering with the Rhodes. It's playing the same stuff, but in different voicings to make it a little bit more neater, more natural. And then you have this vocoder source. Technically, I'm not using a vocoder for it, I don't think. I'm using a spectral resonator, but let me see where the sounds are. Are they up here? Here they are. I'm using a spectral resonator, yeah, and using these chords, gosh, they're down here, as MIDI input for the spectral resonator. So what it does is it basically takes the MIDI and it makes it sound like it's playing that chord. Oh. Why don't I hear it?
Write that beat.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Was I? That's so weird. Maybe if I. Sometimes things just don't work. I don't know why. Maybe I have to solo this and then solo this. Let's see.
Come on, girl.
There you go. You can hear it's vocoded a little bit, or not. It's resonated, and then without,
Come on, girl.
and then with.
Come on, girl.
I could have made it higher.
Come on, girl.
I could have had a longer decay.
Come on, girl.
I could have detuned it,
Come on, girl.
but I didn't do any of that. I also have this pitch drop. That's a plugin I have from Ableton. I love that. I'm using that a lot more now. It just sounds really cool. A good way to just like stop a song in its tracks. Create some cool textures too. Now next up, I have this bridge section. Some different chords. Now originally, this whole chorus I wanted to be sung. I was like, Licia, find a melody. But I couldn't find a melody. Melody was hard. Licia, I don't know if I'd say like she had trouble finding a melody, but I didn't love the one she came up with. I felt kind of like it was giving up to just have the chorus be like, write that beat, write that beat. But then it sounded so good, I was like, no, this is actually best, And I feel bad for trying to make her write a melody, because when the best option was just chopping up vocals. So this originally was going to be just continuing to sing without drums, and now it's more just like it's a weird thing that I don't like to do in music, but I was trying to push myself to do stuff that I feel less comfortable with. It feels so much like empty space, like waiting. Like the purpose of this, why it's here, is that it's giving you space to reflect and think, a bit of a change of color, a bit of a change of scenery. I always used to just want to have everything going on all the time, but I'm getting more used to and comfortable with just space. Then you have your final switch up. Very inspired by Hudson Mohawk and Tonight and that kind of stuff. You have your water drops. You have your snaps. The water drops are inspired by a Tonight song. I think it's Goo, or maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I love the synths that sound like plopping, and so I just used a real water drop sample. I love sampling just sounds. A synthesis, I'm still getting used to. And then a snap. This was more inspired by A.G. Cook and his old productions. He used to love pitching up and down snaps. You get this because they have a kind of weird texture to them. And together it's just this. You have some stomps, again a very Hudson Mohawk kind of thing. Now this riser is way stretched out. As you can see, if I don't stretch it out, it's... Oh, I consolidated it. Never mind. But the original one was way less stretched, and as a feature of the stretching, you get this kind of that kind of stuttering sound because of the way that I stretched it using a large grain size. Then you have the drop. You have the water drop. You have a synth that's meant to sound like a water drop or bubble. Now you can maybe hear it, but it's being detuned a little up and down. I like that sound. I also love this spatial room effect, or I guess this hybrid reverb in general. I've been getting more into reverb, hybrid reverb especially. I feel like I heard a friend say one time that Ableton Reverb was so sucky, and I feel like maybe the stock plugins, but there's so much you can do with it, and I feel like you can make it sound really cool. I love the little bit of texture it gives. You have some more sounds. Let's see what we have here. You have the original kick from the chorus. You have the hats from before, but a different pattern. And those are being doubled to layer with this. These are more kind of like, these sound like money to me. I think it's because they're so metallic. You have these snaps as percussion. You have a layering with the snare, this cash register sound. Here's the snare. It's this makes it sound more full, this drum bus. You have an 808, new 808, just booming. And then finally you have these chopped la-la-las. Now these, I downloaded this whole thing off Freesound and just chopped it up in here in drums. This was the rare case where I actually wanted more freedom to play around in case I wanted to like do so many different patterns. I didn't want to get caught up in like the minutia of it all, so I actually did use MIDI instead to trigger them. Also, because I feel like in this example, MIDI, this feels like an FL Studio kind of drop, so I wanted to use more MIDI and patterns and stuff, which I feel like is the tradition for FL Studio. And then also the kind of falling synth came back for one last hurrah. And then you end on this 808 mixed with the roller coaster voices. Just kind of mixing and matching in this last part, seeing what sounds good, what doesn't. What else is going on? I did a lot with vocals, so that's probably going to be what we talk about for a long time next. Here are the vocals.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu bouger là-bas? Can you move it for me? Peux-tu bouger pour moi?
So here's the main vocals.
Peux-tu bouger ici?
Now what I do to them? A bit of a dynamic tube to make them a little crunchy.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu bouger ici?
You can barely hear it, but there's that. There's some EQ, compression, just the standard stuff. I want to do a very light compression because for some reason what was calling to me for this was a very natural kind of vocal sound. Like she's right there next to you. So that was that. You have this stereo vocal.
Peux-tu bouger ici?
That's even more crushed. So here's without the crush.
Peux-tu bouger ici?
And it's also flanged, so it's stereo. And layered, it sounds like this.
Peux-tu bouger ici?
Layering with vocals is just a really important thing to do that I'm learning more and more about. It really helps things sound more professional, and there's also, it adds more depth to it, you know? You can only do so much with one vocal performance, but if you have a bunch of vocals together, it creates this cool, like, I don't know, it's something that I don't really know how to describe, the layering of sounds. You just get such a more rich, deep texture. And I just kept going. So now I have these vocals.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu bouger là-bas?
So these are kind of quieter, and they have a bit of a delay to them. You'll see that there's a delay here.
Peux-tu bouger ici? Peux-tu...
And the delay is going up and down, so that it is loudest at the end.
Peux-tu bouger ici?
You know, you can hear that this kind of wisps off. And I love that wisp sound. You also had what I like to call fluttervox. So that goes into this.
I direct the scene, bitch, I'm feeling my Fellini. Actors don't...
So this, like, it leads into the vocals better. What else do we have? We got our, where are the ad-libs? We have some ad-libs here. These were from the original demo, so these were recorded on Alicia's phone. And I like that kind of quality, the weird kind of sound to them. I kept them in because I think they did really good things for the rhythm of the song as well. You got your, where are the ad-libs? Here they are, I think. Let's see.
Bouger ici, bouger là-bas.
They're panning a little.
For me,
They're pretty quiet.
pour moi.
They get a little bit of delay on them. I want them to just be very subtle in the background. And this comes back at the end because I love this sound so much. Yeah, but they're just very subtle. This was another thing I had to be kind of brave and make them quiet. And if you turn up your volume and listen loud, you can hear them better. Listen to it loud. Why not? You have the pre-chorus vocals. I think they're here. This is the main one.
You came to see me, as seen on DVD. Grab a copy, move that body. Come on, babe, let's ride that beat.
Pretty similar to the verse, except here they have a flange.
Come on, babe, let's ride that beat.
I just love that sound. Like, now that she's inviting you to ride the beat, she's like everywhere in your head, So I like that. And then, of course, we had some
You came to see me.
stereo trickery. This is on the left.
You came to see me.
And this is on the right.
You came to see me, as seen on DVD.
Again, adding just a stereo quality, some layering.
You came to see me, as seen on DVD. Grab a copy, move that body. Come on, babe, let's ride that beat.
And then the chops for the chorus.
Ride that beat, ride that beat, ride that beat, ride that beat, ride that beat.
So there you have a automated kind of chopping on the eighth note. So here's that without.
Ride that beat, ride that beat,
Here's with.
ride that beat, ride that beat, ride
It's more obvious.
that beat, ride that beat, ride that.
Just to give it more rhythmic quality, and then a delay.
Ride that beat,
so that the kind of words mesh into each other and they get kind of dreamy. Then you have the build. This one for the build, I want it to sound like literally like she's right there. So this one I did the least on. So you can see the compression. It's kind of high, but it's also only 50% there, and there's no kind of crisping with the dynamic 2. I turn that off. I just want it to sound like she's just like. Oh, I opened a file on accident. Like she's just there, talking to you, right in front of your face. That's that.
You came to see me. You came to see me.
Is there anything else? What's this? Oh, this one I love.
Action.
This is one example of something that's too loud. And I think, did I even put any effects on this? I don't think I did. I wanted this to just sound like she's literally just interrupting the song. This I was removed at the last second. It almost was there, but I felt the layering wasn't great. So this is a
bang bang choo choo train.
And that's because when I was setting the demo to Alicia, we work kind of remotely now. I had all these things.
Insert pre-chorus.
To remind her that the pre-chorus would go there, stuff like that. And then this one was just saying, can the rhythm of this be like this?
Bang bang choo choo train.
And she thought it was nice and it was cool and wanted to keep it, but I felt like it kind of clouded over.
Bang bang choo choo train.
Because there's already so much going on. I didn't want to distract from that. It's been 43 minutes. Jeez. So that's the whole song. Goodbye.